Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to understand today that you are not alone in your struggles. I know that the weight of the world sometimes seems unbearable. I know the sleepless nights, the endless battles, the moments where you feel like giving up. But I want to remind you of something incredibly important. God sees your struggle and He knows you're tired. Let's think for a moment about how often we carry burdens that others can't see, how we fight battles in silence, how we smile on the outside. But on the inside, there's a cry for help. It feels like no one understands. But here's the truth. God understands. He sees the invisible scars, the pains you think nobody notices, the exhaustion that weighs on your spirit. He sees it all. In life, there are moments when we feel invisible, unseen, or overlooked. We face challenges, struggles, and hardships that no one seems to notice. People may see the surface, our smiles, our words, our daily routines, but very few understand the depths of our internal battles. In these times, we might wonder if anyone really understands what we're going through. And even more so, we may ask ourselves if God sees us in our struggle. I want you to hear this with your heart today. God sees you. God's vision is not limited like ours. We see with natural eyes, constrained by time, space, and human understanding. Our vision is often partial, focusing only on the immediate circumstances or what is directly in front of us. But God sees the whole picture. He sees your past, your present, and your future all at once. He knows the path you've walked, the wounds you've suffered, and the victories you've claimed. He knows where you're headed and what it will take to get you there. The struggles you face are not hidden from Him, even when no one else understands. In fact, the Bible tells us in Psalm 139:1-3 that God knows everything about us. He sees when we sit down, when we rise up, when we're at our best, and when we're at our best, and when we're at our lowest. There is no moment in your life where God's vision is not watching over you. The things you do in secret, the things you suffer in silence, and the pain you carry alone, He sees it all. And that knowledge, that intimate awareness is not something to be feared, but something to be embraced. Because God sees you, He is also fully aware of your struggle. It's easy to feel like no one understands the weight of your burden. Maybe you've cried out in the quiet of the night, asking God why you are facing such difficulty. Maybe you feel like your prayers go unanswered, or that the distance between you and God grows wider as your exhaustion grows heavier. But know this, even in those moments, God's vision is still upon you. He has not turned His back. He is watching you closely, and He is concerned with every detail of your journey. The weight you carry is not too heavy for His heart to bear, and He is actively at work, even when you can't see it. God's vision brings a unique perspective to our struggles. When we look at our problems, we often see only what's right in front of us, the immediate pain, the obstacles, the frustration. But God sees the outcome, the growth, and the transformation that has taken place in you. His perspective transcends the temporary, focusing on the eternal. He knows that your struggle is not the end of your story, but rather a chapter that will eventually lead you to something greater. Think about how often we allow our difficulties to define us. We say, I'm just tired, I can't keep going, or this is too much for me. We get trapped in the moment, forgetting that God has already seen the bigger picture. What might seem like a setback or a failure in the natural is actually a setup for something greater. When God looks at your struggle, He sees your potential, your destiny, and the person He's shaping you to be. The trials you face are not wasted. They are part of His divine plan for you. Moreover, God's vision sees not just who you are, but who you are becoming. He sees the strength you have within you, even when you doubt yourself. He sees the courage that will rise in your heart after you've endured the battle. He knows that on the other side of this struggle is a testimony that will glorify Him and inspire others. Your pain is not meaningless. It is being used to refine you, to sharpen your character, and to draw you closer to Him. So today, take comfort in knowing that God sees you. He sees the real you, not the one you present to others, but the one you are when no one is watching. He knows your tiredness, your frustration, your hopes, and your dreams. His vision over you is perfect, and His plans for you are filled with hope. When the weight of the world feels heavy, remember this: you are seen by the one who created you. And that vision, that divine perspective, is what will carry you through. When God sees your struggle, he does not turn away, he is drawing near, offering you the strength you need to endure and the courage to continue. Trust his vision, for it is far greater than any limitation you may face. Life at times can feel like an endless cycle of struggles. The demands of daily life, the pressures of responsibilities, and the weight of personal challenges can drain your energy and leave you feeling utterly fatigued. You may find yourself asking, how much longer can I keep going? When will this weariness end? Perhaps in moments of deep exhaustion, you even wonder if anyone truly understands the depth of what you're experiencing. You feel alone, misunderstood, and as if your struggles are invisible. But I want to remind you today that God is moved by compassion for your fatigue. When you are tired, God is not indifferent. He is not distant, looking down from afar without feeling what you feel. God's compassion is deeply personal, and his heart is sensitive to the weariness that burdens you. He knows the toll that life takes on you physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Whether you're physically worn out from the daily grind, mentally exhausted from the weight of decisions and responsibilities, or spiritually depleted from the ongoing battle of faith, God sees you and he is moved by your condition. The Bible makes it clear that God's compassion is great and far-reaching. In the book of Matthew, we see a beautiful picture of Jesus, who, seeing the crowds of people overwhelmed by life's challenges, was moved with compassion. When Jesus landed and saw a large crowd, he had compassion on them and healed their sick. Matthew 14:14. Jesus did not just see the outward needs of the people, he saw their inward struggles, their weariness, and their pain. And because of his compassion, he responded by meeting their needs. This same compassion is available to you today. God does not look at your fatigue and turn away. He does not see your exhaustion and dismiss it. Instead, he is moved with a tenderness that goes beyond human understanding. When you're weary and feel like you can't take another step, God's heart aches for you. His love reaches out, offering comfort, peace, and strength when you are at your lowest point. It is important to understand that God's compassion doesn't just mean he feels sorry for you. No, his compassion moves him to action. In the book of Psalms, we are reminded that the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalm 34:18. God's compassion for you in your fatigue is not passive, it is active. He sees you, he understands your struggle, and he desires to restore your strength. But to receive this compassion, you must allow yourself to rest in his care. There's a powerful promise in the Bible that speaks directly to the weary and tired. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. When you feel you have nothing left to give, when your body, mind, and spirit are drained, God is inviting you to come to him for rest. This rest is not just physical, it's spiritual and emotional. God wants to restore your peace and calm the storm of fatigue that rages within you. He wants to renew your energy, not just by giving you strength, but by giving you a deep sense of his presence and peace in the midst of your exhaustion. God understands that you are human. He knows that there are times when you will feel too tired to keep going, too overwhelmed by the weight of life to find the strength to carry on. But he doesn't expect you to do it alone. He is with you in your fatigue. And he is ready to walk beside you through the struggle. His compassion never runs out, and his love never fails. He is right there waiting for you to lean on him, to surrender your burdens to him, and to let his compassion fill the emptiness that fatigue leaves behind. This divine compassion doesn't only come to us when we've reached our limit. It's there and in every moment of need. Even when you don't realize it, God's heart is moved by the smallest signs of your weariness. And in those moments, he is whispering to you, you don't have to do this alone. Rest in my compassion. God's compassion is not just a distant feeling, it's a powerful force that can heal and renew. When you are tired, his compassion reaches deep into the core of your being and strengthens you, not just to survive, but to thrive. Your exhaustion may seem overwhelming, but God's love is greater. His compassion is sufficient to restore you, to uplift you, and to carry you through even the darkest of times. So when you feel that fatigue weighing heavily on your soul, remember that God is not far away, looking at your struggle with indifference. He is right there with you, offering his heart of compassion, ready to breathe new life into your tired spirit. Trust in his love and allow his compassion to renew you. You are not alone in your weariness. God sees you, God cares for you, and he is ready to give you the rest you need. There are times in life when we feel like we're stuck fighting battles that seem never ending and overcoming obstacles that appear insurmountable. The road is long, the journey feels. In vain, it's easy to become discouraged when the results don't come quickly, when the breakthrough feels far away, and when fatigue starts to cloud your hope. But let me remind you today, perseverance is never in vain. The Bible teaches us that perseverance has great value. James 1:3-4 says, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance, let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. These words remind us that there is a divine purpose in our perseverance. The challenges and trials we face, though difficult, are not meaningless. They are the very things that shape and refine us. Every step you take, every moment of endurance is building you up, even when you can't see it. In those times when it feels like you're running on empty, when the obstacles seem to multiply and the weariness starts to cloud your judgment, remember that perseverance is a process. It's not about immediate results. It's about the transformation that takes place within you as you continue to press forward, even when you feel like giving up. God is doing something powerful inside of you as you endure. He is strengthening your character, increasing your faith, and teaching you resilience. The road may seem long, but every mile is preparing you for something greater. When we persevere, we often focus on the destination, the breakthrough, the reward, the end of the struggle. But perseverance is about more than just the outcome. It's about the growth that happens in the process. When you face a challenge, you are not the same person at the end of it as you were at the beginning. The struggles you face become the stepping stones to the person you are destined to become. They mold your character, expand your vision, and deepen your faith in ways you could never imagine. You may not see the fruit of your perseverance immediately, but trust me, it is there growing beneath the surface, waiting for the right time to manifest. God is not unaware of your perseverance. He sees every moment of struggle, every ounce of effort you put in, and every tear you shed in the process. And in his divine timing, he will reward your persistence. Galatians 6:9 encourages us, let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. This is a promise from God. Your perseverance will not go unnoticed. Your efforts will bear fruit, even if it takes time. God has a perfect plan for your life, and your perseverance is part of that plan. He is using each moment of struggle to position you for the breakthrough you've been waiting for. It's also important to understand that perseverance builds hope. When you choose to keep going, even when it's hard, you are building an unshakable foundation of hope. You may not feel it in the moment, but each step forward is a declaration of trust in God's promises. And hope, as the Bible tells us, does not disappoint. Romans 5:5. Even when the breakthrough feels distant, your perseverance and faith strengthens your hope and brings you closer to the fulfillment of God's promises in your life. Perseverance is also about trusting in God's timing. So often we want to see results immediately. We want to know that all our efforts are leading somewhere, that there is an end in sight. But God's timing is different from ours. He knows what we need and when we need it. The process of perseverance is about trusting that he is working behind the scenes, even when you can't see it. As you continue to press forward, know that God is not only preparing you for the breakthrough, but preparing the breakthrough for you. His timing is perfect, and every moment of struggle is bringing you closer to his perfect plan. Remember, perseverance is not just a passive waiting, it's an active, determined choice to continue, even in the face of hardship. It's about choosing to believe that God is working, even when things don't make sense. It's about trusting that your labor will not be in vain. Every step of perseverance brings you closer to the fulfillment of God's purpose for your life. Every challenge, every setback, every moment of doubt is an opportunity for growth, for strengthening, and for deeper reliance on God. So keep going. Don't give up. Your perseverance is not in vain. You are being shaped, refined, and prepared for the incredible things that God has in store for you. In the midst of life's overwhelming challenges, when you feel drained and broken, it's easy to feel like you've reached the end of your strength. We all face moments when the weight of our burden seems too heavy to carry, when the battle appears too fierce to win, and when we feel as though we're on the verge of collapse. There are times when you've given all you have and still you can't see the end of the struggle. It's in these moments that we must remember something crucial. God's strength is made perfect in your weakness. When we feel weak, we often believe we are incapable of going any further. We may look at our circumstances and feel as though we are powerless to change them. But God sees your weakness differently. He doesn't see it as a limitation, but as an opportunity for his strength to shine through. The Apostle Paul wrote in 2 Corinthians 12:9, but he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore I will boast all the more gladly of my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may rest upon me. In our moments of weakness, God's grace is not only sufficient, but it becomes the very strength that carries us through. God doesn't expect you to be strong all the time. In fact, he knows that there will be moments when you will be weak, when you will be tempted to give up. But instead of condemning you for your weakness, he offers you his strength. He doesn't ask you to do it on your own. He invites you to lean on him, to rely on his infinite power. It's in your weakness that God's strength can be most clearly demonstrated. Because when you are at your weakest, his power is at its greatest. In those moments when you feel like you can't take another step, God's strength is there, ready to empower you to keep going. You don't have to rely on your own limited capacity. God's strength is boundless, and it is available to you in your time of need. When you are exhausted, when your energy is spent, when you feel like you can't face another day, God will strengthen you in ways you cannot imagine. His power will rise up within you, and you will find yourself able to keep moving forward, not by your own might, but by his divine strength. It's also important to recognize that God's strength doesn't just come in the form of physical energy. It also comes as emotional and spiritual resilience. When the trials of life feel like they are breaking you down, God's strength enables you to stand firm in your faith. It's a strength that allows you to endure hardship with a sense of peace, to navigate through storms without losing hope, and to continue walking with God even when everything around you seems to be falling apart. This divine strength gives you the ability to see beyond your circumstances and trust that God is at work, even when you can't understand what he is doing. In times of weakness, we often want to give up. We feel like we are standing on the edge and there is nothing left to give. But God doesn't just leave us to fend for ourselves. He promises that when we are weak, he will be strong on our behalf. He is our refuge and our strength, an ever-present help in times of trouble. Psalm 46:1. His strength doesn't fail, even when ours does. His love is unwavering, even when we are weary. He is the rock we can lean on, the foundation that doesn't shake when everything else does. When you are feeling weak, it's also essential to remember that God's strength works through your faith. When you acknowledge your weakness and turn to him in trust, his strength is activated in your life. It's not about having the strength to do everything on your own. It's about having the faith to rely on God and allow his strength to carry you. Trusting in God's ability to sustain you even in your most challenging moments is the key to experiencing his divine strength. Moreover, God's strength is not just something that sustains us moment by moment. It is also something that transforms us. As we lean on him, his strength not only gets us through the difficult times, but it also changes us. Our weakness becomes a doorway to spiritual growth. When we are weak, we become more reliant on God, more open to his guidance, and more attuned to his presence. This transformation is an essential part of God's plan for us. He doesn't just want to give us strength. He wants to shape our hearts and characters so that we can reflect His glory more fully. So when you are feeling weak and worn out, remember this: God's strength is not far off. It is available to you, ready to empower you to keep going, to stand firm, and to endure whatever comes your way. You don't have to face life's challenges on your own. God is right there, offering His strength to carry you through. Your weakness is the perfect place for His power to be revealed. Embrace the strength of God, and you will find that you are capable of more than you ever thought possible. There are seasons in life when everything feels uncertain, when the path ahead is shrouded in darkness, and when we find ourselves questioning God's purpose in the midst of our pain. We might wonder, why is this happening to me? Or where is God in all of this? The circumstances may seem unfair, overwhelming, or completely incomprehensible. Yet it is in these very moments, when the road ahead seems unclear and the weight of life feels unbearable, that we must hold on to the truth that God has a plan for us, even in the darkness. It's easy to trust God when things are going well, when the sun is shining, when the plans are unfolding as expected, and when we are filled with joy. It feels natural to believe that God is with us, guiding us toward our destiny. But when we find ourselves in the midst of a storm, when we face unexpected trials and challenges, that is when our faith is truly tested. It's in those moments of uncertainty, confusion, and darkness that we must lean on the truth that God is always working, even when we can't see it. The story of Joseph in the Bible is a perfect example of trusting God's plan in the darkest moments. Joseph was betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and imprisoned for a crime he didn't commit. His life for many years seemed like a series of unfortunate events, and the promise God gave him through dreams appeared to be slipping further and further and further out of reach. Yet, in the midst of his suffering, Joseph chose to trust in God's plan. He knew that even though his circumstances seemed bleak, God was still in control. And ultimately, through the trials he endured, Joseph was elevated to a position of power, saving nations and reconciling with his family. What seemed like a series of devastating setbacks was in fact the path God used to fulfill His purpose for Joseph's life. This story is a powerful reminder that even when we can't understand what's happening, God is still in control. We may not see the full picture, but God sees everything. He knows the beginning, the middle, and the end. His plan for us is not limited to what we can see or what we are currently experiencing. It's easy to lose hope when we are in the midst of the storm. But we must remember that God's plan is often bigger than our immediate circumstances. It is crucial to remember that God's timing is perfect, even when it feels like we've been waiting forever. In the midst of our pain, we often want answers right away. We want to know why we are going through a particular trial and on how much longer it will last. But God's plan is not always about immediate answers. Sometimes it's about shaping us, refining us, and preparing. We must also understand that trust is not the absence of doubt or fear. It's not about pretending that everything is fine when everything feels wrong. Trusting God's plan is about choosing to believe in His goodness, even when we don't understand why things are happening. It's about surrendering control and allowing God to lead us through the darkness, knowing that He is with us every step of the way. Trusting in God's plan means acknowledging that His ways are higher than ours, and that even in the most difficult seasons, He has a purpose for us. As we walk through seasons of darkness, we must remember that God's presence is always with us. Psalm 23 reminds us that even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. In our darkest times, God is not distant, He is near. He is walking with us, comforting us, and guiding us. We don't have to understand everything to trust that God is leading us. His presence is our peace, our strength, and our hope. Moreover, trusting God's plan means choosing to hope in His promises, even when everything around us seems contrary to them. It's easy to trust when the situation aligns with what we expect, but true faith is holding on to God's promises when everything seems bleak. God has promised to never leave us nor forsake us. And he has promised to bring good out of our trials. He has promised that his plans for us are filled with hope and a future, even when we cannot see it in the present moment. In those moments when the darkness seems overwhelming, remember that God is at work. Trusting God's plan doesn't mean we won't face hardships. It means that we believe in the bigger picture he's creating. It means that even in the struggle, we have the confidence that God is in control and his plan will prevail. The darkness will not last forever, and his purpose will be fulfilled. As we trust in him, he will lead us out of the valley and into his perfect light, fulfilling every promise he has made along the way. Trust God's plan, even when the road ahead is unclear. Know that he is with you, that he is in control, and that he is working all things together for your good. In the darkness, he is shining his light, and in your uncertainty, he is leading you to a brighter future. In the moments when we feel overwhelmed by life's challenges, we often feel isolated, as if no one truly understands what we are going through. The weight of our struggles can create a sense of loneliness, making us believe that we are walking through life's battles all by ourselves. We may look around and feel like others are moving forward with ease while we remain stuck in our pain. The truth is, you are never alone in your struggle. Even when the world feels distant and the road seems long, God is always present, walking beside you every step of the way. At times, our struggles can feel so personal, so uniquely ours, that we forget that others face similar hardships. When you're in the midst of a trial, it can be difficult to see beyond your own pain. It's easy to believe that you are the only one enduring this particular storm, and that no one else could possibly understand what you are experiencing. But God knows your pain. He sees your heart, your fears, and your anxieties. And he is there with you, not as a distant observer, but as a constant companion who is ready to support and guide you through your struggles. In Hebrews 13:5, God promises, never will I leave you, never will I forsake you. This is a divine assurance that you are never alone, no matter how deep your struggle may be. Even when you feel abandoned, God's presence is a constant source of comfort and strength. He does not leave you in the dark moments of your life. His love and presence surround you, even when it feels like the world has turned its back. It is important to recognize that God doesn't just stand with you in your moments of triumph. He is especially close during your moments of trial. Jesus himself experienced the depths of human suffering, and he understands what it means to feel pain and despair. In the Garden of Gethsemane before his crucifixion, he prayed to God in agony, saying, my soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death, Mark 14:34. Jesus faced immense suffering, but he did not face it alone. God the Father was with him, strengthening him, even when he felt abandoned by those closest to him. When we walk through struggles, we may feel abandoned or like no one cares about our pain. But in these moments, it is crucial to remember that Jesus endured the ultimate pain and loneliness, yet he never faced it alone. His suffering was not in vain, and it became the pathway for our salvation. Through his own journey of pain, Jesus proved that God is with us in our darkest moments. No matter how isolated or misunderstood we may feel, God understands us completely. He walks with us, offering us his peace, comfort, and strength. Moreover, God does not just stand by watching as we struggle. He actively participates in our journey. When you are hurting, God is not distant. He is walking with you, ready to carry the burden when it becomes too much to bear. In Matthew 11:28, Jesus invites us, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. This invitation is not just for the moments when things are going well, but especially for when we are weighed down by our struggles. God does not want us to carry our burdens alone. He wants us to come to him, lay our struggles at his feet, and find rest in his presence. When you feel alone, it is also helpful to remember that you are part of a larger family of believers who have experienced their own trials and triumphs. In 2 Corinthians 1:3-4, Paul speaks of God as the Father of compassion and the God of all comfort, who comforts us in all our trouble, so that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort we ourselves receive from God. God's comfort is not just for us to receive, it is also for us to share. As we experience his faithfulness and strength in our own struggles, we are called to extend that same compassion to others who are facing similar battles. Even in our pain, we can find purpose in helping others navigate their own struggles, knowing that we are not alone in this journey. It is also vital to understand that the enemy often tries to convince us that we are alone in our struggles. In those moments of despair, the enemy will whisper lies like, no one cares about you, or you are on in this. But these are lies designed to isolate us, to keep us from seeking God's help and the support of others. The truth is that God is always with us, and his presence is a source of comfort and strength that can never be taken away. We are never truly alone, for God is always with us. And he has surrounded us with a community of believers who can stand with us in prayer, encouragement, and support. The struggles you face today may feel isolating, but remember that you are part of a greater story, one where God walks with you, strengthens you, and equips you to overcome. He sees you in your pain, and he is right beside you, holding you up when you feel weak. Lean on him, trust in his presence, and remember that you are never alone in your struggle. You are surrounded by his love, and he will never leave you. In conclusion, my friend, no matter where you find yourself today, no matter how heavy the weight of your struggles may seem, remember that God sees your heart, understands your pain, and is with you every step of the way.